We're used to tech just saying all sorts of stuff, making promises, and the promises get bigger and bigger every year. They're going to disrupt the industry, but as Boomhauer says, all they're doing is disrupting my Tuesday. So here I am standing in front of $1.2 million worth of prototype. It is the Slate pickup truck that has been promised again and again to be cheap, to be modular, and I really, really hope they make it. And of all places, it came to Philly. You know, I'm used to tech vehicles like these just staying in Silicon Valley, or maybe in the tech triangle of, the Raleigh-Durham area. But here it is in the Defiant City. I really, really hope it lives up to the expectations. And this thing's roped off. Normally, people can't touch these things because there's only 3 in existence. But we're regular car reviews and we get to sit in it. Do I get to drive it? Well, unfortunately, we're in a zoo, so no. My butt is about to touch $1,200,000. And it feels like a rental car. Not literally, these seats are maybe one of the hardest things I've ever sat in. Now I know everything still; they're figuring stuff out. These seats honestly feel like marine seats. I mean, they are generic seats. The foam feels like I'm sitting in the principal's office. It's literally it's one of the hardest seats I've ever sat in. But I know, actually, let's pretend for a second that these are the actual seats that are going to be in the Slate. You put a little lumbar here. This is probably good for your back to sit in a firm seat like this. Yeah, it is giving vibes of the original Ford Ranger. I'm going to close this door, see if they yell at me. $1,200,000. I know. Prototype. Brian, stop being critical. I'm seeing an electronic parking brake switch. I know that's the way things are going. I would prefer to have seen a yank handle or the third brake pedal down here, the click, 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 click. If you want to do full simplicity, I don't know if that's a thing that people are asking these things to do. If that's a rule now that you have to have electronic parking brakes, you can't just have the steel belted cable down here. I mean, if these are all going to be two-wheel drive trucks. So the first thing people are going to ask, can you drift these things? And I see now half these buttons in here don't work. And honestly, let me just grab the camera right here. So yeah, here's inside the Slate truck. Here is all the 3 buttons: hood, turn traction control off. I guess the button for how bright you want the instrument cluster, and there is no instrument cluster on these prototypes. It's just a little Game Boy screen right there. And then the electronic parking brake handle. Down below is a very simplistic, this is not how it's going to be. They just say, okay, is there cup holders? Yes, there's cup holders. Everything you put in those things are going to fall out. I think this is one that does have functioning HVAC, and people in the channel know that, yes, if there's one thing we love, it's going to be the 3 knobs right there. How hard do you want it? How hot do you want it? And where do you want it? Great, good. Slate, don't change this, do this. We know that these panels right here are going to be part of your options package, or should I say that these trucks are not going to have options package. You're just going to, like the 60s, just say what you want. And there you go. There's not going to be any trim levels. Yeah, that's simulated switches right there. Now those clips, they're not, the people who have the truck here were not able to, well, they were not privy to what parts on this prototype were sourced. But that clip right there is either Subaru or Kia. And people who are watching these, what manufacturer did these sun visors come off of? I'm guessing this track system down here was used, either came off of like Summit Racing or something like that, because it's all generic stuff. Okay, I like the simple release handle there. Prototype. Now, most people, if they're going to preserve and not do the truck seat slide out, they'll want to grab. I will be happy if they put an oh shit handle right here for the driver, Toyota style. But most people are probably going to grab here. Ooh, hands are going to slide off that. But, you know, you got to curve the edges for wind resistance, I guess. I seriously hope that these are not meant to be there to capitalize on the Dodge crowd. Like, here's where you put your beer cans. You know, we got a Slate Truck here. It has to appeal to real Americans. Can I fit my Pelican case directly in this? I mean, good. You have a frunk. Use it as a frunk. Use it as a trunk. What's interesting here is if they're going to use traditional parts, that means there has to be a brake master cylinder and a brake booster somewhere. And since it's an electric car, it won't be using a vacuum booster. It'll be using similar to what, you know, everybody else is using, a Kia, an electric, which will go here. So I'm guessing the production one, since your steering shaft is going to be here, and since this is a prototype, I'm guessing it has manual brakes. There's no power brakes. I'm gonna look to the rep over there, and he can just nod or shake his head. Prototypes have power brakes, or is it just manual brakes? He doesn't know. It's okay. If I was driving it, I could tell you in a second by feeling it. But normally your brake master cylinder would be here. You'd have a bunch of lines here for your electric boost. And what these two are expected to be, because if you're going to have air conditioning, notice how the belt line is all the way down here. That means your radiator and AC condenser is going to have only about this much to work. Oh, it is there. Oh, okay. This makes a lot more sense. May I film underneath the truck? Yeah, it needs to get back to me on that. So what I can see under here is that the radiator and AC condenser are done Corvette style. They're tilted forward on an angle to get more surface area. Let's talk about tire sizes. We got 245, 65, 17. I like that. I like the meat on these things. That is a standard tire size. Everybody's going to make them. What's interesting is that these wheels right here, I thought this was just a decorative cover. No, they're gonna go solid steelies for every single one of them. There's gonna be no alloy wheels. I honestly want to kind of get behind these things. I can see the fiberglass weave up there. Oh, I forgot to mention, yep, on the North American standard, it's a Tesla plug. These things are gonna have Tesla plugs. That's it. Okay, underneath here, I'm allowed to be under, but the camera's not allowed to be under because industry secrets or whatever. So here's the industry secret. It's 90s style suspension under here. Solid rear axle. What I'm seeing is bent tube steel, but thick as hell. If I had to guess, the production one will have probably more of a stamped steel, because what I'm seeing under here is very cool to look at, but when it comes time to have a production one, it may be too expensive and may hinder their ability to keep the cost under $25,000, which is what they're hoping to do. However, what I really like, I have a very big spring, almost like my Toyota Echo and like my Kia Niro, and I have a shock fully accessible. And some guy's looking at me, hello, because it's weird that I'm under the truck. And I could change the rear shocks in this at home. There'd be no problem right there. It's very simple under here, which is keeping with keep everything simple, stupid. I'm a dad coming up to a new truck, and I don't know nothing about nothing, so I just want to know how much power it makes. Truth is, they have the prototype motor in there, so we're guessing the finished product will have somewhere in the range of 200 horsepower, approximately 250 pound-feet of torque. When I was peeping at the little drive unit back there, that's normally what you're getting out of a drive unit that's about the size of, a microwave. Now, imagine if you had a Ford Ranger a Gen 1 that made 200 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. Holy crap, that would be a rocket. So probably with something as light as this, it's going to be fun to drive. When I was talking to the original rep when they contacted me, do you want to come and check out the Slate? A line that the rep said at least 3 times to me was, we're trying to get this truck before the average American, and I don't know if that concept even exists anymore. So we talked a little bit more, and the Slate is many things. It's a stripped down truck, it's an EV, it's a startup that maybe will exist. So how do you really make a product like this attractive to the most amount of people? And I think what they should lead with, and of course, I'm an automotive journalist that just talks about my dick and how many times I poop during the day. So what do I know? But I think their greatest strength is its price. To just say that they really are making a small pickup truck for $25,000 or thereabouts. And it's not going to be overpriced. It's not going to be complicated. And you can drive it down alleyways. Oh, by the way, it just so happens to be an EV. I think that's really their best bet to get more people interested. I really hope, even though this is a prototype, and even though it's very rough around the edges, and even though I see Summit Racing stuff going on inside, not gonna lie, kind of want one. The idea of having a cheap truck that I can beat the hell out of, and I don't mind if it gets roughed up because it's pretty simple anyways, it does sound pretty good. So, Slate.